The Conservatives have launched what they hope will be a hard-hitting poster campaign designed by the advertising firm credited with helping to sweep Margaret Thatcher to power back in 1979. The posters, designed by Saatchi's, depict Gordon Brown's smiling face alongside "Vote for Me" slogans. Well, Jonathan Gabay is a marketing expert and founder of the company Brand Forensics. He's with me in the studio now. I think we can actually, yes, if we both have a look at that, there it is. I cause record youth unemployment, vote for me. And there's the familiar face of Gordon. Well, what do you think of it?
I think that it's an interesting approach. I'll tell you why it's interesting. Because if they would have actually been too clever, I think then they would have had the issue that they had before, which was people started parodying it. And what
are you talking about the David Cameron?
The David Cameron,
the big poster with David Cameron,
and I've never seen so much parodying going on as in relation to that one. I think that what this poster does, or rather these series of posters, they lay it very clearly for the prospective voter, so they can say, look, this is what I've done. That's it. It's a very clear, sharp thing. You know, writing a poster is actually the purest form of creativity, because you have to be clear, sharp, to the point.
But I wonder about this, because there we are. We just saw a line of them, as you saying, going past, and they mention other things like the national debt, pensions, and all sorts of things. But they do say, vote for me. Do you not think, in a kind of curious quirk, that this will actually make people think that it is actually for Gordon Brown? Well, I mean, people don't read things very carefully, do they?
They don't. That's why you have to be very, very, as I said before, you have to be very clear, to the point. But when you're seeing what they're suggesting that you vote for him for, I'm sure nobody's that silly to actually start thinking, well, actually, I'm supposed to vote for them. Not when you see what's actually being said here. The other thing that's quite curious about this particular poster, or these series of posters, is that the Labour could, I was looking at them thinking, is there any way that someone could look at it in a kind of a negative form? There is one way that you could look at it as a negative form, in terms of the punctuation, because you've got these clear statements there, which are saying, I did this or I did that. And I think it actually deserves a full stop at the end of each of these statements, or at least a semicolon, because you're saying, well, because of that, vote for me. But I don't want to get into punctuation stuff here. Getting to the point, not just the punctuation point, what I think a poster has to do, it has to be what I've always said, which is a political pinch. It's got to be something that pinches people, their consciousness, and they say, actually, that is something that actually affects me personally, and therefore I should do something about it.
Of course, posters have been around quite a long time, haven't they? I think we've got some others that people might recall. Let's have a look. Oh, Labour isn't working. That was you're amongst those people in that queue, apparently.
I am. I'm actually in that poster. I was 17 years old at the time, but I actually am in that poster.
Were you working at the time?
I'm not going to say.
Now, here's another one. Here's another one. That was the Tories, Norman Lamont and so on there.
Absolutely. That's 1992, actually, which was that the Labour bombshell? Yeah, that's the Labour bombshell, Labour tax bombshell.
And there's one more I think we want to look at. Yeah, that's pretty clear, isn't it? And this one, what was this about?
This was the Demon Eyes poster, 1996, the Demon Eyes poster. And now, if they would have gone to that...
Tony Blair's Demon Eyes.
That's supposed to be Tony Blair, but he came in anyway. He actually came in anyway. It was supposed to be an anti-Blair type of poster. I think that if they would have gone for that kind of approach today, it would have been a disaster, because I think that what people want, what the savvy electorate wants, is they want something that is straight down the line, something that they can ascertain for themselves whether they believe it or they don't believe it. And once you start getting into really nasty types of digs, such as the Demon Eyes were, I mean, that might have been okay for that era, but not 2010.
The poster actually got withdrawn, I think, didn't it, after objection?
It was, everyone objected about that particular poster, and I think that they've learnt a lot from that. It's interesting that they brought Saatchi and Saatchi back. Well, actually, it's not Saatchi and Saatchi, it's M&C Saatchi. It's interesting that they've got them back. It's very, very unusual for any political party to have two agencies working at the same time on a poster campaign at this stage. It says a hell of a lot about what's going on behind the scenes at Tory HQ.
You don't think, though, that this might all seem very old-fashioned, particularly to younger people, in the era of, you know, the blog, the Twitter, and, oh, I don't know, 24-hour news, any number of things, which
Yes.
things are happening all the time. Aren't posters a terribly static way of trying to appeal to the public?
With Twitter, with Facebook and all the rest of it, you're right. This is a Web 2.0 era where people are going to be social networking and stuff like that. But I still think there is one place for the poster, and that is something which is sharp, short, to the point. Why? Because that poster would then elicit some type of a debate. And where would the debate take place? I give you Twitter, I give you Facebook, and so on and so forth. So I think what the poster is, it is the spark. The fuse is as long as the Web 2 community wants it to be.
Will be interesting to see how Labour hit back, and indeed the Liberal Democrats as well. Mustn't forget them.
Of course.
Thank you very much indeed, Jonathan.
Always a pleasure.